Hi, sweeties. How are you doing? Welcome to Naya Sim, and thank you all so much for all the love and support. YouTube, this video is for educational purposes. There is no bullying or harassment of any kind, and the intent is to spread the message and let people know what is going on all over the world. Please do not take my video down. This video is strictly for educational purposes. Now, this video is about what is going on in Lebanon and how Black people are affected there. Now, while I was going, I saw so many videos of people crying, screaming, because you all know what is going on there. And most of the Black people that work, mostly Africans too, that work there, probably domestic staff and all that, found out that some people were sleeping only to wake up in the morning to find out that their the family they live with ran away with their children without telling them. So as it stands, they are stranded. The ones that the people that they were working with left them to find their way out, started looking for shelter, only to be told that the shelter is not for people that look like me. I mean, but they let their own people to have somewhere to stay. Now, this is a very, very teachable moment for everybody. And I really do hope that all of us learn from this. Anti-Blackness is everywhere. And the earlier some people accept, know that this is straight up the better for us. Let's get into this video.
Just remember, the worst thing possible that could ever happen to somebody could be happening, and then you could be Black and have that same thing happening to you. What do I mean by that? Do you guys remember when the war in Ukraine started 3 years ago? And not only were all people of color being gaslit by the media and being basically dragged by the media, for lack of a better word, when they were talking about how this doesn't happen here and it happens in the uncivilized parts of the world. Like, the European media got real scramble for Africa really quick when it came to the war in Ukraine. But not only that, do you guys remember those videos that people were filming them trying to flee from, the Russians, getting on trains, and how the Ukrainian people were blocking access to get on the train to escape from those African students? That is what I mean by that statement. Like, things can be going on that are just absolutely catastrophic, and then you could be Black going through it. This tweet behind me pissed me the fuck off yesterday when I saw it, when, as we know, Israel is widening the war. They've been bombing Lebanon, all throughout Lebanon at this point. It's getting really insane, and people are starting to flee to save their lives, which is horrible, as we know. But within the context of what's going on, these African migrants who, basically sell themselves for domestic labor in these places like Qatar and Lebanon, all over the Arab world, to send money back home to their families, now they're left here alone. There's no way for them to get out. They're stuck here as Israel is bombing Lebanon to smithereens at this point. It instantly made me think of episode 0 of the Bloodstained podcast, where I talk about the Arab slave trade. The Arab slave trade, the East African slave trade, whichever way you want to name it, was basically the slave trade that was happening before the transatlantic slave trade and after the transatlantic slave trade on the opposite coast of Africa, the east side of Africa. Arab slave trade started in the 7th century, and some say never ended, others say ended around 1965, boo. Millions of Africans were funneled into these Arab countries by way of these slave routes that were well worn in from the 7th century on the east side of Africa, on the east coast of Africa. And so when we talk about learning about history thematically, you start to understand that you only know part of the story of what happened to the African continent as a whole. The numbers that they can try to estimate in terms of who and what and where and how many enslaved Africans were taken through the Arab slave trade is somewhere similar to the transatlantic slave trade. If you learned about slavery as a theme and understood all the tenets of what makes slavery, the different forms of slavery, you would have 100% learned about the Arab slave trade. But they only want to teach you slavery in one singular way for specific reason. When I say it started in the 7th century and some people say that it never ended, this is exactly what I'm talking about. This migrant labor is exactly what I'm talking about because a lot of these migrants travel the same slave routes that they did when it was a slave trade. Now they are getting paid for their labor and they're domestic, essentially indentured servants there, selling their labor to send money back home to try and survive. Here we see where current events, historical moments, and the crushing weight of an intersectional identity come to pass because here we are. This is multi-dimensional chess that we're trying to untangle from. There's so many things wrapped up in one conversation. And of course, my heart goes out to Lebanon and everyone feeling the terror of the Israeli forces at this point. But also, we have to talk about the people marginalized within the marginalization. And I think it's important to point this out. Um, I'm pissed. If you want to listen to episode 0 of the Bloodstain podcast or 0 through 5, link in the bio to watch the podcast, link in the bio to listen to the podcast. Yeah, we're halfway through, 6 more episodes to go. Mwah.
A group of workers from Sierra Leone said that they've been forced to live on the streets after they were prevented from accessing shelters in Beirut. The International Organization for Migration says there are more than 160,000 migrant workers in Lebanon.
I think now we have a clear picture how racism works in Lebanon, because even in this terrible situation that everyone is in, they still reject us because we are migrants, and also we don't have access to shelters. They will post it online that there's vacancy, and we reach out and said, I'm sorry, we don't have space. But they do have space for their citizens.
Those are Arab people for you. Sorry, this noise in the background. I'm at a hospital right now. But yeah, those are Arabs for you. My father's wife is Lebanese, if you did not know. So I have a half Lebanese stepbrother, or half brother, sorry. Lebanese people are some of the most vile Arabs. So everyone keeps coming to my page like, oh, it's because I have so much experience with Arabs. My father's wife is Lebanese. I was 17 when he married her. I know Egyptians. I like all these Arabs in Nigeria. When my father's like, I know them. What I'm trying to say is, right now, if Israel dropped a nuke on Lebanon and killed every last one, I wouldn't shed a tear. I would have. So get this: my father's wife is a bastard, meaning she was born out of wedlock, and Islamically that means she gets no inheritance, and her son gets no, or her children get no inheritance. That means also, if you don't know, my father's rich as fuck. So you do the math. In her head, she's doing everything she can to secure the wealth for just her son, which is the only way in her head to make that happen is to get rid of. I haven't spoken to my father since 2020, not 2020, since 2000. Yeah, since the year 2000, I haven't spoken to my dad because of a Lebanese woman, because she had me kidnapped. She was literally driving the car the day I was kidnapped for rent. I made a video about it. But anyways, you're Lebanese and you following me, I hate. Just go, I hate you fuckers. I really wish, I hate Israel, but I hope Israel wipes all your people out off this earth. I say what the fuck I said.
Let's talk about my thoughts about transactional allyship. I've been seeing that term all of a sudden go up and down my timeline for some reason. I've been seeing some of my mutuals talking about it. I've been seeing it everywhere. So I just want to talk about my thoughts because I have thoughts. So let me just read this comment. Transactional allyship. Support those that support you or focus on the specific people/ethnicities that are being impacted in those spaces. How do I put this? Okay. I really don't think people get what we're up against, for real. The depths, how deep it goes. And I'm not saying that to scare people. I'm just saying it to be real. It's not just, oh, this is a racist system. No, it's most everything that you think is a natural occurrence, most everything that you think just happens within nature and is the natural state of being has been a lie. And I know that it's giving a little bit of the Matrix at this point, but the reason why that movie goes so hard, the first one, is because it's fucking the truth. It's exactly how we exist in society. And the only reason why I have hope is because okay, well, a man created this, some random person created this way we live our society at some point, and we just go with it. So we can always change it. You know what I mean? But it's like when you start to understand, like, so much of what is said and what we're supposed to believe, especially when it comes to our national identity, the tenets of being American, all of these things, they are PR constructed to the most granular level. And then that makes you start to question, like, who constructed it and why, and what other things do they allow you to talk about and learn about, and what other things do they keep hidden and why, and how does that frame, how we think society runs. So when I started hearing this idea of like transactional allyship, it's like, I don't think the way to go against like the system and what we are living through and what it's doing to all of us and humanity is to like lean into what they want us to do already. There's vested interest, like very deep pockets vested interest in keeping us stratified in our identities and ranking each other and all of these things. And so to revert back to this place of like, I'm not doing shit for you if you're not doing shit for me, well, then no one's gonna do shit. And this is no shade because I get it. Like, I 100%, 100% get it. Because, especially when it comes to black people, like, I understand the mentality and I'm not judging you for it. It's just more of, like, my opinion on it. I just don't think that that is the radical change that will like uproot how we live our lives. Because the reality is there is definitely more of us marginalized individuals, maligned individuals by the Western dominated world than there are people benefiting from it, if I'm just talking numbers. And if we could get past these like petty conversations, because in the grand scheme of things, like I get it, like there's a lot of hurt, there's a lot there, it's deep. But by continuing to play into their divisive games, which they have spent a lot of money to continue to like uphold all of these years. Like, this is Crusades era stuff. I say this all the time. These Crusades era talking points still get the masses riled up. That is how deep the propaganda goes and how old it is. And we have to fight against that. And I just don't think leaning into further divide, further like, oh, well, you do it first, like that kind of mentality is ever going to get us anywhere. I don't know. I'm rambling. There's just more that I could say about like the idea of like transactional communities and how we don't really know how to like truly be in community with other people, and that money shouldn't be involved, and like what that actually means and what that actually looks like, and like helping people even though like you don't get anything from it, because we're constantly at this point being sold community events as LARPing as having like a big loving community when we like all most likely do not have. Anyway, that's a whole other conversation. I think the radical work and the radical thing to do is allowing us who've all been marginalized by the Western world and maligned by the Western world, and dominated by the Western world, to try, despite everything, to clumsily try and build solidarity amongst each other. That's my vibe. I get why people don't agree with that vibe, but that's just how I feel about it. Also, hi, my name is Madison, the creator behind the Madiswan channel. I have a podcast called Bloodstained where I talk about history through the lens of true crime. Season 1 is all about slavery. If you're interested in the new episode, it just dropped a little over a week ago, so get into that. Link in the bio for all of the links. YouTube, DSPs, follow me.
This is all I got from this video, and this is also a wake-up call for some people, because the truth is that I don't know how to start with this, but you have to say it. I remember when during the period, Black people were all over the internet talking about what's going on in Israel versus Palestine and all that. While that was going on, there were so many migrants, sorry, should I say Black, maybe Africans too, that came out to tell Black people to mind their business, right? And some said that they were supporting Israel because they believe in God of Israel. Some came out to say so many things, Now, some people really do not hear. When people that are not better than you are talking, just listen. Just listen. And the fact that they are seeing this by themselves right now, I am sure that we learn every day, and some people's mindset will at the same time change over some certain things. I do not know how to describe this, but you see, Arab slavery is just on another level. And the fact that they use most especially Africans as their workers for what I don't understand. Or there are some words I want to use, but I am trying so hard to be kind. Not really kind, to avoid some certain words. They said that they've been looking for where to stay. You all already know what is going on in Lebanon and all of that, right? They are looking for a way to where to stay because of the strike, like things that are being boom, 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 and all that. And most of the shelters they went to, there are space, but they will not let them in. Why? Because of your skin color. Because you look like me. They've been trying to tell us or make us understand all this. We think they're probably trying to prevent you from some stuff. No. Black people have been saying it. It's not a thing of today. Now they can't find where to stay. And they are crying, screaming. I saw so many videos online that they are screaming. Even one that lived with her madam, like she worked with the Arab family, and she woke up from sleep to find out that the madam the husband and wife and the children already ran away, leaving her there. Like she was sleeping and she woke up to find out that she was all alone in the house. Just to tell you that if anything happens to you, let it happen to you. This is the extent some people can go to make sure that you are, just to let you also know that you are nobody. Because if you are taking care of my children, you are as good as family. If it's good people will see you as a family because you are the one that can make, I don't know how to explain, but how do you run away from someone that takes care of your kids? They absolutely run away without her. She woke up, she was crying so bad. So many of them are stranded. They don't have anywhere to go to. They don't have anywhere to sleep. They do not want them in the shelter, but their own people will come in. Is this not enough for us to understand? I understand that sometimes life is hard, not even sometimes. Life on its own is very hard. Sometimes you probably have to leave home to go and fend for home, right? But there are some places I do not think I will set my feet on because I already know their history and what they stand for. And the truth is that those people will never even treat you any good because that is what they do know how to do best. Arab slavery, it's a thing. For those that want to believe it or for those that want to live it, whatever you want to do, you do with it. I am not begging anybody to understand or to agree with me, but you all already know the time it is. You all know what I'm saying is truth. All those things they built, how did they build? They built it on some people's back. Now, what can I say? What can I do? I really do not know what to say, what to do. But the best I can do is that I really hope that everyone is safe. But then I hope that it is a teachable moment. Most of the things that happen to people happen for them to learn lesson. The same thing with me. Most of the things that happen to me happen for me to learn lesson, right? So I hope they will be able to also learn their own lesson because most of them, or majority of them, work with people. And the people they work with left them to cater for themselves. Why they look for a way to why they probably went somewhere to take shelter. But then that will tell you how they think about you. The truth is that anti-blackness is just a worldwide thing. It is everywhere. But then you really have to open your eyes to know who wants you and who do not want you. See you all in my next video. Bye for now.